is addressing Drake's culture vulture ways and the way that he steals from the fucking culture.
If you were surprised Drake is being called out as a culture vulture, you haven't been really paying attention to what's been happening within Black culture over the past few years.
Culture vulture. It's catchy and it rhymes. However, if the point is to characterize someone according to the type of bird that is symbolic of their actions, in this case, as I have found in most cases, a vulture is not the correct bird that should be used to represent cultural appropriation. Nor, in reality, is a vulture the bird that represents a detriment to the community in which it thrives. So if the allegations about Drake are true, then Drake is not a culture vulture. You see, because a vulture only eats what has already died. It at least has the common decency to let you die in peace. Unlike the lion that everyone seems to respect as a symbol. Even Jesus was referred to as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Help me! But since we're talking birds, how about the bald eagle? The bald eagle is the symbolic bird that represents the United States. Are there any parallels? You decide. But did you know that a vulture is an integral part of an ecosystem? And that without the vulture, disease would spread at an increased rate. So doesn't that make vultures the ones who prevent the spread of toxicity instead of the ones who promote it? Exactly. But because a vulture doesn't have a pretty face, and you see it eating a carcass, you equate that to the nefarious actions of the ones you label culture vulture. But a vulture is only interested in eating what has already died. The ones who are being called culture vultures are only attracted to what is thriving and full of life. That way, they can continue to benefit and eat perpetually, which is the behavior consistent with the traits of a parasite, which is not what a vulture is, but it is what a cuckoo bird is.
They not like us, they not like us, they not like us.
A cuckoo bird is what you would call a brood parasite, and brood parasites are deadbeat parents and deadbeat babies. So cultural cuckoo is a label much more apropos.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy.
Not only does the cuckoo bird refuse to sit on its own egg until it hatches, no, it has to sneak its egg into another bird's nest so that another bird will raise her baby. But that's not the kicker. The cuckoo bird can lay an egg that almost looks exactly like the ones that were already in the nest. So when the mama bird comes back to the nest to brood, she can't tell which is which. But that's not it. After the mama bird gets tricked into sitting on a cuckoo egg, the little deadbeat cuckoo baby usually hatches first, and then it pushes the original eggs out of the nest, and then it headbutts its step siblings to the spirit realm, and then it cries day in and day out, forcing stepmom and steppapa to feed it more and more and more, and it grows bigger and bigger to the point where even though it is still technically a baby, it can no longer fit in the nest. But mama bird and papa bird are so driven by instinct that they can't tell that this is clearly not their child that they are raising. It looks nothing like them. This is the real cultural appropriator, not the vulture, but a cultural cuckoo. It will plant itself among you. In the beginning, it'll look kind of like you, but it's only out for self. And even when it appears to have traits of generosity, even that is done out of an attempt to gain leverage. It does not belong in the nest. It does not represent the bloodline of the birds who are feeding it. And when it leaves the nest, the way that it was raised wouldn't mean anything because it will still abandon its own eggs, despite being raised by a species of bird that showed that they cared. It is a parasite, and no amount of protest will undo its evolution. So maybe in some ways this can be regarded as the vindication of the vulture, and hopefully, in the future, people will be a little more accurate when choosing an animal to describe a human, like Meg the Stallion, which translates to Meg the horse with cock and balls. Because a stallion is actually a male horse, and a mare is a female horse, but Meg the mare doesn't have the same ring to it. So she chooses to become like Sylvester Stallone, the Italian stallion, instead. But in conclusion, the parallels between cultural appropriators and cuckoo birds are far too many to overlook. So if Drake or anyone else is suspected of being a cultural cuckoo, just remember that despite being a brood parasite that destroys the descendants and misrepresents a nest or a culture, its only chance of survival, no matter where it has been placed, is determined by whether or not we choose to feed it.